So, well, hi everyone.
Hi. Hi, Mariana.
Yeah, so just to put you in context, I had a very normal childhood with a very good family, always surrounded by lots of friends, and yeah, very normal, right? I dress like a princess. I've always been a princess girl. But yeah, anyways, I start my teenage years and I find myself missing something. I don't know what it is, but I miss something. But with going to school and then doing activities and playing sports and hanging out with my friends and family, I kind of forget about it. Well, not forget, I kind of hide it, right? And when the quarantine starts, I don't have these distractions, these routines. So I kind of, this missing something, it is not something irrelevant anymore. I have this huge desire of being loved by everyone. And I want to be loved at school, but I want to be loved playing sports. I want to be loved during quarantine without seeing anyone. And I want to be loved with my failures and with messing up things, right? So the time goes by and I made new friends and I start to hang out with them just because they were so attractive to me, because they seemed happy. And this is what I wanted. I wanted just to be happy. So I do the exact same things they did, because they seemed to have enough with that. So I start to go out at night. I start to drink a lot, because this is what they did to be happy. And I start to be, I know I can control this desire. I know I cannot satisfy it. So I start controlling the things I could control. I start to control myself, my relationship with others, and yeah, with that friends. I feel good, because at that time I was absolutely perfect. I had no failures, no weaknesses, nothing. I was perfect. I dressed in the right way. They liked. That things. And yeah, and then I start to feel noticed by guys. And I start to lose the consciousness of their body, and I start to lose consciousness of my body too, because we all wanted the same, right? We all wanted to be happy, even just for a few seconds. So, yeah, and we try to satisfy that way, even though we all know that's not the right way. However, I came back home and I have to confront myself. I have to face my life, my heart, my reality. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay only feeling good a few seconds, 2 nights a week. It's not enough for me. I want this every day. And at this point, one of my teachers, with whom I got along very well, approaches me and asks me about my school, my grades, what a normal teacher does. But also he asks me about how I was. And I thought that was strange that a teacher asks me about my personal life. And we started to talk. And what was incredible for me was that he showed interest in something he didn't have to, but he did. So he suggests me going into a summer camp. And I don't have an instant, yes, I want to go. But I don't have a no either, because the things he had suggested me before that had always responded to my desire. I've always felt loved and free in a circle of difficulties with my friends, with my family, with boys, with an eating disorder I had. And I couldn't say no, because I wanted that also, once again. So at that point also, I was not in a good relationship with my psychologists, because I went to the psychologist. And there were many, many things that were forbidden for me, because they were scared of me messing up things. But this teacher was not. And, one of these things that was forbidden was to go to this summer camp. I had completely forbidden going to this summer camp, to the point they told me, you have to choose between this summer camp, this week, or your therapy. But I managed to go on with the therapy and also go to the summer camp. And once in that summer camp, this teacher had been in dialogue with my psychologist, and they had made very, very clear what I could do, what I could not do, what I had to do controlled by him, and what I could do without control, right? And when we are there, he looks at me straight in the eyes, which anyone had done this before. He looks me straight in the eyes and says, look, this is not how things works. I cannot take away your liberty just because you could mess things up. I love you and I love your liberty as much as I love everything. I cannot love it. And if you mess things up, if you screw up things, if you damage your health, because I could not go because there was a possibility of me damaging my health. If you damage your health, I will love your liberty even with that. And in that summer camp, I saw people exposing themselves and exposing their hearts, to the point that there were people crying in front of their friends, which I had never cried in front of one single friend of mine, not even tell a weakness or not even go without makeup. And they were crying. And I noticed the way they had to look at each other. And it was so different that the way I looked to my friends and the way my friends looked at me. And I fell in love completely. So I find myself talking about weaknesses and about things that were not easy for me in front of people I knew from 3 days. I barely know. And they looked at me this way I just told you. They looked at me different. I don't know why. And I wanted this every day of my life with everything. And yeah, I wanted this. For example, there were friends of mine who had their boyfriends there. And seeing how they looked to each other, that only looking in the eyes, they knew they loved each other. I wanted to look at my boyfriend like that, because I didn't. I didn't want to tolerate my boyfriend. I wanted to love him with everything. I wanted to love every piece of his heart. Because I wanted to be looked that way. It could have been unfair if I shouldn't have looked at my boyfriend like that. But anyways, the summer camp is ending, and I approached my teacher because there are lots of questions inside of me and of how I follow it. How can I live that in Barcelona? It is so difficult for me to live that in Barcelona. So, and they're not just questions, they are a necessity now. I don't want anything less. And I approached my teacher and I told him, look, I cannot go back home because I don't want to face my reality where I cannot be looked that way. And he tells me, that is so human, that is a human necessity. But I have something grand, I have a treasure. And he told me he had friends. And I looked at him and I thought, okay, I'm proud of you, what now? And he told me, look, there are some friends of mine that could host you in their house. And once again, I didn't, well, yeah, now I had an instant yes. Because if living my life that way, if coming here and living that way goes going away from Barcelona and going away from my family and my friends, it is okay for me. So, yeah, that's how I met Alfonso and his wife, Maria. And my life during that period that I knew I was living, but I hadn't lived yet. There were many, many questions and there were many, many fears. But yeah, I always thought of this desire of being loved. I always thought, okay, now you maybe don't want to go because you're so comfy with your friends, but you want something more. And yeah, my life was divided into completely different worlds. This world of coming here and living like that, and the other world with my friends, who was not like, they loved me, but not truthfully. And I didn't want a funny life, a popular life. I wanted a truthful life. And yeah, sometimes I have fights with this, but I don't feel I'm abandoning my life in Barcelona. I just giving me space from things, away from things I need to get away because they were hurting me. And with being loved and with being hosted. And also, I can tell you for a fact, I'm not perfect. And I'm doing a lot of things not impeccably right, but I can tell you also for a fact that I'm at the right place with the right company, with friends, teachers, and family that embrace me, not in spite of my poverties, but with them. And today I was reading a text right before I came in, and it said, the human existence is the same as an eternal friendship, a truthful friendship. And I think that is like the sentence that describes me the best. Because I just want this for my life. And I'm being hosted here. I can be hosted here, I think, because I've been hosted before. I've been hosted on that summer camp with that teacher, with that people I barely know, and some of them are here now. And yeah, I don't know, some examples of being hosted are, I had never ever failed an exam. And moving out of my city, in another way of teaching, in another way of doing exams, I'm failing now, lots of exams. And it's so hard for me to accept that I'm not good at everything. But with Alfonso and Maria, I thought, okay, so you are here and you fail. Like, what the heck? And like, I thought it wasn't fair for them. Like, they're hosting you and you are failing. It's not fair.
I can remember you this question in the future.
And but also talking to them and them loving me with that failed exam and with that failed exams. And yeah, or also with some teachers here or some friends that I know from, 4 months now? 3 months and a half? And telling them, hey, I'm not okay today, I'm not in the mood, I messed up. And then, for example, just hugging me. For me, that is feeling hosted, that is feeling loved. Yeah, that's my life.
I would like to speak like Mariana English, but not now. Yo también brevemente.
Just before I say anything about Mariona, I would like to say just two things about my life.
Antes de acoger a Mariona. Y es que
It is
parecido a
like
ella,
that,
yo
like
también
here,
recuerdo vivir
also when
una
I was a teenager, I was searching for
dramática en el
something
sentido de,
that I could not
de
manage to
buscar
have.
continuamente cosas que no alcanzaba a tener. Y
And
eso
that
me
made me
hacía
suffer at school, trying to
sufrir en el
find,
colegio,
trying to
me
find
hacía
it in
buscar
friends,
la
in
alegría en
school,
los deportes, en las
in
amistades,
sports, but I
en la
couldn't.
familia y no lo conseguía. Y en cambio, quizás
And it was in this
inconscientemente,
circumstance
yo puedo decir
that I now
ahora
realize I was
que en esa
embraced in
circunstancia
3 ways.
he sido acogido al menos de 3 formas. Una,
First
mi
one
familia,
is
que
my family.
nunca
I had never had to stop being myself in my family. They've always
profesor
embraced me
y como
as
yo ahora
myself.
con ella, ¿no? Luego,
Second place I felt
la primera vez
embraced
que encontré
were my friends,
amigos de verdad,
with
que
whom
fue
I
en la
met at
universidad, aunque
university.
parezca mentira, también.
When I was
Encontré un
with
grupo
them,
de
I
amigos
felt
en el que
truly embraced,
podía
therefore
ser yo,
truly
que
myself.
es lo mismo que ser acogido tal cual soy, ¿no? Y la
And the third
tercera,
place of embracement,
la
the
tercera
third
acogida,
place where I
quizá
have
incluso
felt
más inesperada todavía, ha
embraced
sido mi mujer,
is my wife.
que
My wife, whom has
me
said
ha dicho que
yes
sí
to me,
misteriosamente a
no,
mí,
freely, mysteriously,
para acompañarme
to
en el
show
camino
me
de la vida,
the path
también con
of
todo lo
life.
que soy, sin dejar nada fuera. Y ahora para
Now to
entrar
deepen into the
directamente en el tema que
topic
hemos
of
ocupado hoy en el
the
Congreso,
encounter, there is something, and I will tell you
también es
with
necesario
absolute
deciros,
liberty, and this
quizá
is something I'm thankful for because in
a alguno
school
le sorprende
things
la,
like this
la
happen.
libertad,
I can
pero
be
en
free,
este
so therefore
colegio, gracias a Dios, suceden estas cosas. Y es que
it was less than a month ago that
hace
my
menos de un
wife and I
mes
had our
que
4th
hizo
anniversary
4 años
of the wedding,
de que nos casamos, mi mujer y yo. Y desde entonces,
and this is something
parece
that
que
might
puede ser
be
una cosa
permanent, that we are having severe
que no
difficulties
suceda, es que estamos
to
teniendo
bear a child.
un problema grave a la hora de tener hijos. Y
And,
uno
you
puede
and
pensar
one might think,
que como
because
no
we
podemos
cannot
tener
have a
hijos, entonces
child,
acogemos
we
a
host
uno.
another one. In
Algunos
fact,
amigos, sin
without,
mala intención, me
without a bad
preguntaban,
intention,
¿no? Cuando
friends
después de 2
would ask
años,
me,
3 años, no
and
puedes tener hijos, oye,
it
¿y no
didn't
habías
occur to
pensado en
you
una
to
mujer?
host someone.
Digo, pues no, la verdad es que no.
And him very nicely
Se
said,
cortó la conversación.
no. And the conversation was over. This was because I have the
Tengo la
certainty
certeza de que
that this was not a circumstance that my wife and myself have to provide a solution to. It was a mysterious circumstance in which my wife and myself could be infinitely happy.
y que
And this
llenan
failed
matrimonio de
our
preguntas
marriage
sobre
with a number
para qué
of
nos hemos casado,
beautiful
cuál es
questions.
nuestro-
Why are we married?
cuál
Why
es
are we in the
nuestra
world?
tarea
What
en
is the
este
mission?
mundo.
And
Ya esto,
having
o sea,
to
que haya una
confront,
circunstancia
to
dolorosa
face
que nos permite esta delante de
circumstances with
grandes
such
preguntas, nos parece
difficulties,
un bien.
this is something good, not something bad. Because it allows us to pay attention, to pay true attention
a las cosas
to
que pasan
the
mayor
circumstance,
que si
certain
no tienes
aspects,
preguntas grandes.
questions, and attention that we wouldn't have had, that you cannot have if you don't have great questions before.
Y aquí llega, o sea,
And
gracias
thanks to
quizás
4
a
years
este-
of
a
confronting
estos
these
4 años de
questions,
grandes preguntas,
a proposal
llega una
arrives to
propuesta
us from the headmaster of Fair School,
el director
which
de
is
su,
a friend of
de
his.
su colegio en Barcelona, que es amigo mío.
So it is August, and I received his phone call
A principios
this,
de agosto,
this summer, this August.
este verano pasado, y me dice que hay una chica
And he calls me and he tells me
que yo no sé quién
there's a
es,
young lady in Barcelona with a very difficult situation at the moment. He didn't tell me the specifics of the situation, he didn't tell me anything, but he did ask me,
había una necesidad.
would
Había
you
una necesidad
and,
de que la
and
chica
Maria
saliera de
be
allí y me
willing
dice directamente
to
que si
take her
yo
in, to host her in
con mi
your
mujer,
house?
tanto
Initially,
mi mujer y
the
yo
estimated time
estamos
was
dispuestos a
around
acogerla
2
en
years.
nuestra casa, en principio durante 2 años.
And it was this proposal arriving that changed
Una
it.
propuesta
Originally, we never
nunca
had
había pensado
the,
en
the
acoger,
thought of the
en cambio,
idea
una
of
propuesta lo
hosting, but when the proposal arrived, this changed it. And this is what I was telling
Por
you,
eso
I
os he
thank
contado
God,
antes,
because it is a gift,
gracias a
these
Dios por las
difficult
dificultades
circumstances,
por las que
and
nos
it
hace
is
pasar, porque
through this gift, through
hace que
this,
nos preguntemos ciertas
through
cosas
these difficulties,
que luego
that I
tanto
can
cuesta
have the
como
question,
esta
that I can
persona me ha
start
dicho,
a path
"¿Qué
to
me
answer
estás
the
contando?
question
¿Cómo voy a
and
acoger
start
yo a una chica que no
a
conozco?".
dialogue that in any
Nacía
other
del
circumstance
corazón
I would have
de
never
mi
had.
mujer y mío un sí misterioso.
So this yes that was born inside me was confirmed the day after. My wife, which was obviously a fundamental part of the question, this yes was born inside her too, which is not to be taken for granted. And then so we started to engage in dialogue with a situation like this, with a yes up front. And I have to assert that it is not a matter, it has never been a matter of being generous. This is not the question. We haven't done it because we are generous. It has been because it has been a calling to happiness, an occasion to be happy. It's not just I go out and then willingly, forcefully go and help someone. It is an occasion for me, and then because it is for me, it may be of help to others. In this case, it was a few days after we said yes that it was the situation was communicated to the family, to Mariona's family, to the biological parents, that there was a family in Madrid that was happy to host their daughter. This is, again, not to be taken for granted. Could sound strange, especially in the times now, in this time. The moment to go to Barcelona to meet with Mariona and their family arrived. This moment was a delight. We were facing each other, all of us together, and the parents were starting to discern, to recognize maybe our daughter can have a true experience with you, can start a path with you away from us, and this is something. But we were in company. It was my wife and myself, Mariona, the parents, and it was also this headmaster that had approached Mariona, and that was my friend. He was among us. We were in company. So he prepared a table in his garden with a beer and 4 glasses. He introduced us to each other. The decision had already been made. And he said, and Alfonso says, I will never forget this. He was not even sitting, he was still standing. But he said, and I will never forget this. When the necessity, when necessity is confronted, is united with charity, there's a party in heaven. And this was how the conversation went. They were recognizing that their young daughter was going away with another family, something that could be strange in this world, but they were recognizing that it was in her best. It was good for her. It was good for everyone. So after 4 years, as you can imagine, being with my wife in our house alone together, all of a sudden having a young lady, which was initially not in, was deeply uncomfortable, as you can see, and he says it like this: uncomfortable, not something that we would be used to. But the real question is that the real question in life is not to be comfortable. Because it is always a temptation to think, I want to live comfortably, I want to do what I want to do, and now, however, this is close to impossible to do what I want with a hosted daughter in the house. And therefore, I am tremendously grateful to the parents, to her, and this is something that he still fights with. It's something that she still does not recognize. I am tremendously grateful to her because she is teaching me this, that life is not for oneself to keep it, but to give. And it is in this circumstance that, and it's again thanks to confronting the questions that I have, this question: what does it mean to be a father? At heart, if we are radical about the question, if you, for example, pay attention to the case of Giovanni with 7 siblings, if we are radical about it, he was
si
saying,
somos radicales,
he is Giovanni, he is
a
entrusted
él
with
se le
7 sons and
confían
daughters
misteriosamente
during a
7
time
hijos
that is
durante un
uncertain.
tiempo que él no sabe, y a mí
Now I
se me
am
está regalando la
entrusted
oportunidad de
with the
acompañar
life
a una chica
of Mariona
durante 2 años,
for 2
quién
years,
sabe,
but then again,
y
who
por lo
knows
tanto,
for how long,
quién me lo iba a decir a mí, pero estoy
to
empezando
have this experience
a
of
ver
paternity.
lo que
which is new to
significa
me.
ser padre.
And therefore,
Por
it
tanto, el
is
agradecimiento
us,
es sobre todo
the ones
nuestro.
who are thankful.